Many people often go fishing in certain areas because they know they're likely to catch something great. However, there's another side to this, when fishermen catch something unexpected. Some fish look so strange and unnatural that you might wonder if they're from this planet at all. Here are the 20 most bizarre things caught by fishermen. Number 20. Two-headed whale. Much like the ocean itself, I'm sending you off right into the deep end, and you'll just have to do your best to endure. For this first story, we're going to Mexico, which has plenty of bodies of water to make all kinds of finds and catches from, and that includes, as the title would note, a two-headed whale. But before you ask, no, there is no species of whale out there that naturally has two heads. I can guarantee you that would have been taught in school if it would have been the case. Rather, what I'm talking about was found by fishermen in Mexico, and it was a set of conjoined whale calves. They were about 4 meters long and, sadly, they were dead by the time the fishermen discovered them. The nearly half-ton creatures were joined at the waist with 2 full heads and tail fins. At that point, you may be asking yourself, how could something like this happen? Well, the same way that we have conjoined human twins who are connected by their heads or torsos or some other form, and they share a midsection or whatnot. We've seen those cases all the time. So what happens is that when the mother whale is pregnant, some of her embryos become fused in such a way that they don't become complete. It's supposed to happen naturally and completely, but sometimes 2 embryos will become 1 and yet there are still 2, so you get something like this. The problem, as many of you likely have guessed, is that unlike a human who can take care of themselves with this kind of condition or have people who will help them to survive, the same cannot be said for animals and things that are in the ocean. Whales do live in pods, but that doesn't mean that the whale understands what's going on with this kind of thing, and as a result, the young ones tend to die off rather quickly. Even if some fishermen had found them right after birth, it's unlikely that they would have survived. In the end, it becomes a sad tale, but nature is not always as nice as we would like it to be. Number 19. Russian alien fish. As the name would suggest, this particular fish was found in Russia in 2025, and when the fisherman caught it, he not only thought that he had unearthed a monster but one that was actually a straight-up alien. In this rare case, I don't mind him labeling this fish an alien because, just look at it. It looks like some kind of shrunken head that has unique flesh and a way too small mouth. Thankfully, the fish was later identified as a smooth lumpfish or smooth lumpsucker. As for why it looks like it does, the fish tends to be in deeper pressures of water, so when it was brought up to the surface, its body literally swelled up to the state that you're seeing now, which is something that you probably didn't expect. This is actually a unique deep-sea fish that belongs to the lumpsucker family, and they typically measure anywhere between 6 and 44 centimeters in length and can weigh about 4.2 kilograms. Their bodies usually are bare with no scales or bony bumps, and the skin is brownish-gray with darker spots on top and lighter underneath. They're found all throughout the northern Pacific, and they migrate from deep waters to shallow rocky coastal zones in the spring in order to spawn in the depths of under 10 meters. They're commonly fished for their roe, sometimes used as cheap caviar. Though not endangered, their spawning cycles make them vulnerable during nearshore breeding times. Number 18. Fish with human teeth. I've shown you some fish with unusual shapes and deformities, but how about one with teeth that look oddly like a human's? This was found in 2015 in a South Jersey lake, and when the people who caught it first laid eyes upon it, they honestly thought that it was a kind of piranha. The reason being is that there are actually piranhas in the Amazon that have human-like teeth. The twist, though, is that while it was not a piranha, it was a fish from South America known as the pacu. That's not how a catch in North America should go, but there you have it. Pacus are related to piranhas, but unlike their meat-loving cousins, they are listed as omnivores, and so they can attack people like fishermen, but it's not their first choice in a meal. So then that leaves the question of how a pacu got into a New Jersey lake. Well, that comes down to stupidity. People will sometimes buy South American fish for their aquariums, and then when they're done with them or realize they can't actually take care of them, they dump them in a body of water, which is just incredibly stupid because not only can it injure the ecosystem that they're forcibly transferring the fish to, it can sometimes kill the fish because they're not used to that environment to begin with. Number 17. Half fish. After the last entry that I showed you, you might be asking, can a fish be born with only half its body? And technically, yes, it can happen, as there have been creatures that have been born without limbs and even humans being born without the lower half of their body. So in theory, anything really could be possible. However, in this particular video, there's a much more reasonable explanation both stated and shown, and that reason is sharks. Guys, we just got back. That is the massive shark bite right there. We threw the other one back. When you're fishing out in the waters that happen to have sharks within them, there is no easier prey for a shark to go after than the fish that you're trying to reel in. You may have even seen this take place on certain fishing shows where fishermen are just simply trying to get a fish onto the boat, and then the sharks get to them first. Sadly for this guy, a shark literally bit his catch in half. But better luck next time. Number 16. Babyface Shark. Now I'm going to be talking about a shark that was found in Indonesia by a fisherman, and when he caught it, well, you can have a look for yourself. It's not a doctored image or even a fake shark. It really is a shark that looks like it has a baby face or a small human face. It's honestly quite freaky, and I'm quite comfortable in saying that out loud. There's plenty going on here, so it's hard to choose a certain place to start. I'll begin with the eyes. They are far more round than they ever should be for a young shark, and because of their placement on the head, which is also wrong for a shark, mixed in with how the mouth looks, it seems as though this is a shark with a human face. It's just kind of wrong. So then that leaves the question of what happened here. Much like many other fish stories that I've shown you so far, this one has to deal with a certain mutation. It can't exactly be said what had happened, but it's clear that the mutation led to the shark looking this way. One of the ironies of this tale is that after the fisherman caught it and took a video of it, he was then apparently swarmed by people who either wanted to look at the shark or attempt to buy it from him. He ended up not selling it, and the reason for that is because he felt the shark would bring him luck. Now it's time for today's topic. A group of fishermen off the coast of South Africa had their ship abruptly shut down after a terrifying encounter with what they believe could be a megalodon. The incident occurred during a routine fishing trip when the crew noticed an unusually large dorsal fin slicing through the water, heading straight for their vessel. The fin alone was estimated to be over 6 feet tall, dwarfing that of any known shark species. As the creature circled the ship, the fishermen caught glimpses of its massive body beneath the surface, which they described as being over 60 feet long. It was like something out of a nightmare, one of the crew members said. We've seen great whites before, but this was on a completely different scale. Moments later, the ship's engine mysteriously stalled, leaving the crew stranded as the massive shark continued to circle. Panic set in as they feared the creature might attack. After several tense minutes, the shark disappeared into the depths, and the engine inexplicably restarted. Experts reviewing the fisherman's account are skeptical but intrigued. Could this be evidence of a surviving megalodon, or is it an abnormally large great white? For now, the encounter remains a chilling mystery, fueling speculation about what truly lurks in the ocean's depths. Number 15. Three-eyed catfish. And now for something equally as weird and disturbing, we head back to New York. More specifically, we go to a canal which is one of the most infamous waterways in the United States. The reason for this is because it's so polluted it's crazy, and many have been trying to raise alarms about it for quite a long time. One such time was back in 2015 when a fisherman went into the polluted waterway, and that's when he found himself looking at a three-eyed catfish on the end of his line, and that's not something that's supposed to be there. Now, obviously, one can't definitively prove that the catfish was mutated because of the pollution in the water, but there have been other three-eyed catfish found in a variety of polluted waterways in the past, which includes one in Argentina. So the option doesn't come without merit. Number 14. Grumpy fish face. When you're the catch of the day and the first thing that people say is that the fish looks like Freddy Krueger, well, that's absolutely something to fear. Look at the reactions of these fishermen when they realize that they have a really odd-looking fish in their net. One of them was actually so amused by the fish that he took it home so that he could show it off. Eventually, they took it to a scientist who then revealed that it was actually a toadfish, and while it may be incredibly weird to look at, it's apparently a fish that is eaten quite often in places like Southeast Asia. It also looks this way as a method of camouflage in order to catch its prey. Number 13. Three-headed frog. Now I have another seriously mutated creature on this entry, and if you don't like seeing this kind of thing, well, maybe you should just look away or speed things up so that you can get to the next one. But if you're still here, though, you may be shocked to find out that this particular frog was actually found by some children. They definitely got the shock of a lifetime when they discovered this thing. When the adults and the scientists entered the picture, even they were wide-eyed at the sight and wondered if there may have been other factors that led to this mutation, including pollution or even climate change. Now, even I will admit that this is a first for me, and that's saying something considering how long I've been doing this channel. Number 12. An unexploded bomb. Now I'm going to show you something quite different this time. In 2022, at an Italian river, a drought in the area had lowered the water level so much that it actually revealed an unexploded bomb. Some fishermen saw it and then immediately reported it to the police. The bomb in question had apparently been there for over 70 years, and so it was a danger to everyone around it. If you're curious as to how they would get rid of such a threat, the answer becomes rather simple: they just blow it up. It's hard to believe, but it is true. The best way to handle these kinds of explosives is to take them carefully out to a safe area with no one around and then blow them to smithereens, and that's exactly what happened here. Oh, and if you ever find an unexploded bomb, you should definitely report it. Number 11. Fish throwing up stomach. This next one will be interesting to talk about, but for a much different reason. There are some creatures in the world that have the ability to actually throw up parts of their inner bodies just to try and scare away a predator and make them think that the prey is sick and not really worth eating. Some fish are able to do that. However, in this particular video, a guy catches a fish that has both its stomach out of its mouth and its eyes are seriously bulging out of its body. So then, what the hell is actually going on here? It has to do with something that I'll also talk about later on, and that is water pressure. The fish was clearly from a much deeper part of the ocean, and when it was brought to the surface, its body just simply could not handle the sudden shift in pressure, and the result turned out to be something that looked like this. Then what did the fisherman do after finding the fish? Well, of course, he filmed himself cooking it. Number 10. Mysterious creature. While I have shown you plenty of unique fish so far, there are some who just love to take this kind of thing way too far and reveal creatures that are truly mysterious, even though it's arguably clear that they are all fake. Have a look at this creature. It definitely looks the part of an odd being, but the fact that it's being shown in a mix of still images and camera footage isn't exactly helping matters. Nor does it help that the original video is narrated by an AI voice that's just absolutely terrible. I've talked about odd creatures washed up on the beach before, and it is possible that this is one of those creatures, and if that's the case, it's merely an animal that's just way past its expiration date and its body is simply withered away around it. But with more context, it feels more fake than anything else. Number 9. Magnet fishing cash out. As I have shown you in other videos, there are a lot of unique things that you can find in the waters of the world that are not exactly fish by any stretch of the imagination. To that end, there are people who go and look for these treasures and often find more than they might have bargained for, such as one New York City couple who happily called themselves magnet fishers because they use powerful magnets to dredge up metallic items that are at the bottom of certain waterways. Magnet fishing has become a popular hobby in recent years, with enthusiasts hoping to uncover everything from historical artifacts to lost valuables. The couple had been magnet fishing in a canal near Brooklyn when they felt their magnet latch onto something unusually heavy. After a lot of effort and teamwork, they managed to pull up an old, rusted safe that had clearly been underwater for years. Inside, they found not only the stacks of $100 bills, but also a few pieces of jewelry, including a gold necklace and a diamond ring. The discovery sparked curiosity about the safe's origins, with some speculating it might have been stolen and dumped in the water decades ago. The couple documented the entire find on video, which quickly went viral, drawing attention to the unexpected rewards of magnet fishing. While the cash was mostly ruined, the jewelry was appraised and found to be worth several $1,000s, making the adventure worthwhile. The couple has since continued their magnet fishing adventures, hoping to uncover more hidden treasures in the city's waterways. When they did that in 2024, they found the jackpot via a safe that ended up having stacks of $100 bills that added up to $100,000 in cash. The good news is that, after reporting it to the police, they were actually able to keep the money. The bad news was that the money was pretty much a wash due to water damage. Number 8. Massive catfish. Sometimes you just see a really big fish, and you say, is that actually real? When I first looked at this catfish that fisherman Dino Ferrari caught in a riverbank in 2015, I absolutely asked that question out loud because when you look at the size and the shape of this catfish, you're going to swear that it's fake. But it's actually not. Dino caught this fish in the Per River, and to further show his skills, not only did he do it with a basic rod and reel, but it took him over 40 minutes to reel the thing in, and he even had his brother with him as an eyewitness. Oh, and remember when I said that you might swear that it's fake when you first look at it? Well, some people did call it out as being potentially fake because they'd never seen a catfish that big before. So what did he do? Well, he posted a video of himself with the catfish in the water to show that it was actually real. Add to the magnificence of the fact that it could have been one of the largest fish ever caught on a line and reel, and it's a truly mind-boggling thing. Number 7. Colossal Squid. Now let's discuss a key thing about our world that cannot be ignored. We don't know everything that's in the ocean's depths. And equally as important, while we do know a lot of the creatures that live in the deep, we don't always get the chance to study them up close. A great example of this comes in the form of the colossal squid, or even the giant squid. These are the beasts that gave rise to legends about the kraken because they were said to be as big as boats, which some of them technically can be. Yet, because they live out in the deep parts of the ocean, we can't study them on a regular basis. Just imagine one fisherman's surprise when he found himself hauling in a 450-kilogram colossal squid on his boat. He was absolutely blown away, as were the scientists who were all but drooling in order to get their hands on the specimen. Typically, when scientists find these creatures, it's because of the fact that they get washed up on the shorelines of the beach sometimes, but rarely are they ever complete versions of a squid. In this case, it was complete, and it was much bigger than the only other complete one that scientists got. So because of this finding, some serious scientific study was allowed to occur. Number 6. Two-mouthed fish. Now I have another one of those stories for you, and this time I'm talking about a trout. A woman was fishing in Lake Champlain, which is in New York if you don't know, and that's when she pulled her line up to find herself looking at a shark that truly had two mouths. Unlike the whale calves that I showed you at the top of the video, this one was not two full heads that were put together, but instead it was just the mouths that were connected. It was as though it had a double-decker mouth, with one having the full head on it, and then there was another layer just for the second mouth itself. It is weird to look at, and that's why I'm just as equally surprised that the woman who caught the fish just took it in stride. In fact, she was so amazed by this fish that she referred to it as bizarrely beautiful. I'm not going to object to that, as it's clearly not something you see each and every day, but it's definitely on the more weird end of the beauty spectrum. So then, what happened to the fish after it was caught? As you're clearly seeing, the woman and her partner took pictures and video of the fish and then decided to just let it back into the deep. That may seem odd given the rarity of the fish, but for some people, they just want to let the fish go on and live its best life. A surprise from this catch was that they got a whole lot of attention after their posts went viral, and you can't blame the internet for that because it's not each and every day that you see a catch like this come to light. So keep that in mind in case you happen to catch a fish like this one day. Number 5. Armored Suckermouth Catfish. There's a name for a fish, but when you look at this video, you're going to see that it's an apt name for the fish in question because when the fisherman caught it and turned it over, the mouth indeed did have a sucking gesture going on, and you can even see it in action as he puts it into the water and you see that catfish affecting the water via its mouth. This fish is commonly known as the Suckermouth catfish, or plico, and it's often recognized by its unique ability to latch onto surfaces using its specialized mouth. Originally native to South America, this fish has become a notorious invasive species in many parts of the world, including Asia, Africa, and North America. Its ability to cling to rocks and other surfaces allows it to feed on algae, but it also disrupts local ecosystems by outcompeting native species for food. In some areas, suckermouth catfish have been known to burrow into riverbanks, causing erosion and destabilizing the surrounding environment. Their tough, armored bodies make them difficult for predators to eat, which only adds to their unchecked population growth. While they are popular in the aquarium trade for their algae-eating abilities, many owners release them into the wild when they outgrow their tanks, contributing to their invasive spread. Efforts to control their populations have proven challenging, as they are highly adaptable and can survive in a wide range of water conditions. Despite their ecological impact, the fish's unusual appearance and behavior continue to fascinate those who encounter it. I have no idea what I just said, but I didn't write this script. While we can poke fun at this fish all we want, we should also note that this was a very dangerous invasive species that has injured a lot of ecosystems because of how it affects both the food chain and its surrounding environment. Number 4. Big lobster. Lobsters are very interesting creatures of the deep, and they're something that a lot of scientists just love to study because of the unique traits that they showcase. For example, if you were to picture a lobster right now, you'd likely think of something that you saw in a seafood place where they're in tanks and you can literally pick out the one that you want to eat. The thing is, that's not their final form, and in fact, we technically never see them in their final form because lobsters never stop growing through a special process called molting. They keep growing bigger and bigger until they eventually die from one outside influence or another. Why am I detailing this so much? Well, that's because it explains why someone was able to capture a 12-kilogram lobster in Maine. The thing was over 100 centimeters long, and that makes for one big-ass lobster. In fact, when it was brought to a Maine aquarium for study, it was dubbed to be the biggest one they had ever seen, which is really quite impressive. And before you go asking, no, it was not sent to a seafood restaurant to be cooked. Apparently, you want to use a younger lobster for seafood meals as they have the more tasty meat, and so this lobster went on to live another day. Number 3. Native American Canoe. Canoes have been around for thousands of years and have always been a way of getting from place to place using nothing but water, muscle, and a clever design. The earliest canoes go all the way back to like 8,000 years ago when the ancient peoples had carved them out of tree trunks. They were dugout canoes, basically hollowed logs, and did the trick for fishing, trading, exploring, and more. Indigenous peoples all over the world developed their own version of the canoe. Native Americans in the Northeast made lightweight birch bark canoes that were fast and easy to carry between rivers. They became perfect for navigating all of those winding waterways. Meanwhile, in the Pacific Northwest, they built big cedar canoes that were strong enough to ride the ocean waves. And of course, as the Europeans showed up, They were so impressed that they copied the designs for fur trading and travel, especially in places like Canada. Canoes became the pickup trucks of the wilderness, hauling goods, guiding explorers, and connecting to remote communities. Today, they have gone high-tech with fiberglass and Kevlar, but the soul of the canoe has never changed. It's still about getting through the water quietly as you and the paddle head wherever the current or curiosity takes you. In Wisconsin, back in 2021, some archaeologists had made a unique finding inside a body of water about 8 meters down. They discovered a piece of wood that was actually an intact Native American canoe. It was about 4 meters long and had apparently been made around the year 800 CE. If you're wondering how this craft could have survived for so long, especially since it was made out of wood, well, that would be because it was underwater the entire time and so it wasn't getting exposed to other elements and sunlight. What makes it even more incredible is that it was actually found on accident during an underwater scooter adventure, no less. At first, the rider came upon it and thought that it was a log, but after looking at it a lot closer, she then learned the truth and the right people were called in. The archaeologists who ended up getting a good look then noted that it wasn't only rare, but there was nothing like it in the entire state, and they made sure to be careful with it due to how fragile the canoe was after all that time in the water. Only one can wonder how many fish were caught in that boat and why it ended up at the bottom of the water like it did. Number 2. Faceless Fish. You may be thinking that scientists who study the ocean for a living would be surprised by some of the fish that may come onto the boat. Yet, as one catch in Australian waters would prove, you never know what's about to come up from those depths. In this case, I'm talking about a literal faceless fish. And before you cite something like a mutation, this is apparently something that's actually different. For example, the creature was born with no eyes, which is definitely not something you would expect. This bizarre fish, known as the faceless cusk eel, Typhlinus nasus, was first discovered over a century ago but is so rare that it has only been seen a handful of times since. Its lack of eyes is an adaptation to its deep-sea environment, where sunlight doesn't penetrate, making vision unnecessary. Instead, it likely relies on other senses, such as detecting vibrations or chemical signals in the water, to navigate and find food. The fish's mouth, located underneath its body rather than at the front, is another adaptation that allows it to feed on small organisms and detritus on the ocean floor. Its gelatinous body and pale, almost translucent skin are typical of deep-sea creatures, which often have reduced muscle mass due to the lack of predators and the need to conserve energy. The faceless cusk eel is a reminder of how little we know about the deep ocean, as it lives in one of the most unexplored and extreme environments on Earth. About almost a half a meter long, this fish with no eyes, and then there's the matter that this fish has a mouth, but it's just located in a much different place, which makes you wonder how it even got there. Absolutely nothing about the fish is right, and the fact that it apparently lives about 4,000 meters below the surface of the ocean further makes you wonder what exactly it is that's going on with this creature. Perhaps it's just better that we don't know and we just leave it be. Number 1. Alligator Gar. Now, given everything that I've shown you in this video, I figured that the best way to end things was to show you a straight-up very cool and really big fish, and so that's where this guy comes into the picture who caught a massive alligator gar. Gotcha! This guy is a conservationist who has done all kinds of fishing expeditions over the years to catch some truly epic fish of impressive size. He went to Texas in 2022 because he heard of some pretty big alligator gar that were down there, and surely enough, after doing some trekking and wading, that's when he found one that was 2.5 meters long and 146 kilograms in weight, which makes for a pretty big fish. He even noted that when he was trying to reel the fish in, it felt like a person's vehicle was on the other end, and he was desperately trying to hang on. And if you're wondering what happened afterwards, well, the person was able to release it back into the bayou. He just wanted to film himself catching one, observe it for a little bit, and then put it back where it belonged. And if you're curious, no, he did not catch the biggest alligator gar in Texas history. There was one that was a few kilograms bigger that was caught in the 1950s. And it's not always about the record, it's about being able to show that you're able to catch a really big fish. And with a video like this one, it shows proof that nobody can deny his claim. Well, that's all from the realm of the deep and the many fish that have baffled people and made them wonder what they were looking at. Which of these catches surprised you the most, and which one would you want to catch if you had the chance? Be sure to let me know in the comments section below. Check out the other cool things appearing on the screen, and I'll see you next time.